Man, Vandy has the golden opportunity with college athletics landscape shifting the way it is. Hammer the NIL. They have a golden opportunity here.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So here's the thing. Vandy has a golden opportunity to capitalize off some of the positive momentum that is building, and they can have a chance to build or rebuild the fan base, creating their own recruiting state, the State of Nashville type situation, making sure the environment is the best that it can be to get Vandy fans back in the building. But more importantly, the best way that they can capitalize off the shifting of the landscape in college athletics, and they can really kind of build their program, and they get a chance at a little bit of reprieve here. But hammer the NIL. Hammer the NIL, because that's what's going to do it. So here's the thing, man. When you look at keys to success, right? Your goal is to rebuild your fan base, rebuild your program, and that's your goal. You want to get fans back in the building. You want to make Vanderbilt a viable program, not just in football, but in the big three sports, and eventually trickle down to the Olympic sports. Now, what I'm basing this on, honestly, I found this really good article on the Dora Report and the Vandy Rivals site, and is written by George Barclay. It's titled "Golden Opportunity: How Vanderbilt Can Expand Its Fan Base." I really enjoyed this article, and I had some thoughts on it. I wanted to react to it, and I think this is. I think Vandy has Vandy has a really, really good shot at making this a viable thing, getting Vandy fans back in the fold, because if they can create these environments, I think they have a really good shot. So I'm going to flash this back up here again. NIL. I think the anchor impact is going to be the MVP in this whole renaissance, right? It kind of started with basketball. I'll give basketball the credit. They went out and built a roster, which I think they need to do some tinkering with and get a little bit of size in their next round of roster building with basketball. But I think they're on the right track. I think they created some buzz there. I think Mark Byington is the right guy for the job. I think his philosophy is really good. I think that for what they were and what they could hire, I thought this was probably the best hire they could make. And I think they did a really good job with it. Now they just need to make some adjustments, because I do think he's right for the job. So, but NIL. You got to get the players in. You've got to get the marquee guys in. You've got to, they did it with, they hit lightning in a bottle with Diego Pavia. Can they keep that up? They certainly got some higher profile offensive linemen. They're in the fold. They've got some bigger names coming out of the portal. Now, when I say bigger names, like some of the guys they got in the portal ended up being starters, but I think that was out of necessity this past year. And it seemed to click, it seemed to work. They got some really good program, really good culture guys. But I think this year they're finally, they're getting some guys that were really highly rated coming out of high school, which that talent doesn't go away. Maybe where they landed out of high school, their opportunity for development wasn't quite there. But the talent is still there, like Chance Fitzgerald, Trent Hudson. The talent is still there. The offensive, like Gunnar Givens, the offensive lineman, like the talent is there. He was a 4-star coming out of high school. The talent's there. Now they just need somebody to build it and to build upon that. So getting guys and being willing to spend, I think, is the biggest part. And, in a world of college football where the money is now on the table, being able to spend, being willing to spend, being able to go out and just say, hey, we need X, Y, Z, and we're going to go out freaking get it, right? And being willing to make those NIL deals, because you have the resources now. Anchor Impact, they've made some moves now. And now they've got Grindstaff as the executive director. He has a really good plan. Paul Grindstaff has a really good plan as to how he's going to build the NIL. It doesn't build overnight, unfortunately, but I think they're taking steps in the right direction. I think this year's portal class is really good, and I think they're going to keep adding to it with the spring transfer portal. And the guys that are in the portal now that haven't landed anywhere yet, I think those guys still have a chance to land with Vanderbilt and really kind of make an impact on the team. Pun intended, sort of. But they have a chance to really do the whole anti-Vandy thing, which for a long time, Vandy was anti-establishment. They were almost like the anti-SEC team where they wouldn't go out and get a big name coach. They wouldn't go out and do some of these things. And even when it was, the recruiting tactics that were in essence in vogue then, even not necessarily doing anything nefarious or illegal, but the things that you had to do to get good players that were legal, they wouldn't do. They wouldn't bend a little bit here, a little bit there on transcripts. They didn't hire these expansive staffs, these expansive student assistant and recruiting staffs, and they didn't even have an AD for a while. So they weren't doing things to help themselves, not only in football, but just in athletics in general. They weren't doing things to help themselves for a long time. And they're still kind of paying the piper for a little bit of that. They're coming out of that. They're starting to realize, hey, we can be an elite academic school and be good at sports. Because other schools have done it. Other schools have proven that you can do it. Stanford is a great example. Maybe not so much right now. They're a little bit down right now, but they've been good in a lot of sports. Basketball, baseball, football. They've been good in a lot of sports for a long time. And what do we know about Stanford's reputation? They are an elite academic institution. North Carolina is an elite academic institution. Phenomenal at basketball. That's their sport that they claim. Michael Jordan, the Jordan brand. North Carolina, elite academic school, right? Duke, phenomenal at basketball. Didn't realize that they had potential. When they hired Coach K, they took a chance on a twerpy-looking guy from Army, and he ended up being one of the best college coaches to ever coach the sport. And they didn't know they stumbled upon that. They were about ready to fire him. But now look at Duke basketball. It's bled over into football now. Duke is competitive in football. I wouldn't say they're great. They were ACC runners up for a couple of years with David Cutcliffe, but they're a program that people are actually paying attention to now. Manny Diaz, I think, is doing a pretty good job there. But they're a team that's gaining a little steam in the ACC. They're a competitive team in the ACC, which for a long time Duke was awful. Outside of 2 years of Steve Spurrier, they've been an abysmal program. Because they don't care about football. They don't care. They didn't care about sports really until Mike Krzyzewski came. And then they were a basketball school that just happened to play other sports. But Northwestern, I mean, they're competitive. They're not great. They're pretty bad most years. They're probably the best direct comparison to Vanderbilt as far as being elite and then having an athletic program that could be better. But if they put in, and Northwestern is investing in their program, they're building a new stadium, they've upgraded their facilities, they're starting to jump in that ring. So they're realizing, just like Vandy or Virginia, they're pretty good. I don't think they've ever been elite in anything or great at anything, but they've won a basketball national championship, and they have done some good things across the board athletically. They're a phenomenal university as well. And even the Ivy Leagues, they take pride in making it to the NCAA tournament in basketball. I don't know about the other sports. They do some other sports that Olympic sports that they take pride in. But this, again, they have a chance to really do something great here if they invest. And it seems like they're making the moves to invest. Now it's just got to come to fruition. Now you've got to get guys in place on the football side, which I do think Clark Lee has in place now, that can help evaluate talent in high school recruiting, talent in portal recruiting, and being able to get guys on campus and land them. Their visit to commit rate, I think, without knowing every single visitor that came from the portal cycle, I think their visit to commitment rate it seems like it's pretty good for at least the publicized version of it. I don't know the actual numbers on the list. Maybe somebody can help me with the numbers of who's visited versus who's committed. Maybe it's way more lopsided than I'm aware of, but it feels like the ones that are public knowledge that we're privy to, I feel like when they say, "Hey, I'm visiting Vandy," they usually commit. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the NIL landscape. I'm excited about the collective, and I'm excited about the city of Nashville. They need something to rally around, right? And they have something right there, an SEC program in their backyard. The Titans suck. The Predators are on a downswing. They all but suck. And the Predators Nashville shows that if they want to get behind something, they will. When the Predators made their run to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost in Game 6 to the Penguins, this city was on fire with Preds fever. Man, it was unbelievable. When the NFL draft came, it was probably one of the most highest attended NFL drafts in the history of the draft. I mean, the entire downtown area was packed. People were packed on streets where they couldn't even sniff the stage. It was unreal, the events that take place. And if these fans have something to get behind, they will get behind it. They want to. And I think if Vandy shows that they can do it and be good, I think a lot of these people who aren't really for anything will start to wear black and gold. The Tennessee fans are that. The Bama fans are that. There is a lot of transient people in the city now that it's booming. So you're not going to have a pure fan base, but you're going to have enough of one because the city's growing rapidly every day. You're going to have enough people that say, "Hey, you know what? Hey, I might be an Ole Miss fan, but I'm going to get behind Vandy because they're the local team," right? That's how I feel. And that's the reason why I'm sitting here talking to you about this right now. I'm a prime example of how you can get hooked into a local team because I'm a Georgia guy. I moved up here in 2008, and I never really paid attention to Vandy until I got to Nashville. And then I was like, "Oh, Vandy, this is a fun team. Like, this could be a fun team." And then James Franklin came and they became a really fun team to watch. And then they sucked for a little while. But I always kind of rooted for them, and, they played hard, and, I always kind of wanted them to win a little bit. And now that Locked On has tabbed me for this podcast, I've gotten a glimpse into kind of what Vandy could be. And the potential is there. Now they just got to, like I said right here, NIL, anchor impact, right? That's the key, man. That's the key. But there's a lot of things else. There's a lot of things that are going to help feed into the NIL thing. We'll talk about what those are next. Hey, if you attended the 12-team college football playoff game, you probably had an incredible experience, and it brings fans together like never before. I remember the excitement of past playoff games and cannot wait to make new memories with the updated format and the extra teams involved. Just think if they ever went to 16 teams and removed buys and had more on-campus games. That would be amazing. So Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. And if you're in the Nashville area, you've got a million concerts to filter through. So why not filter out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So recently I used Game Time Picks to help find tickets for a concert. A concert that I didn't attend, but it was my wife, and she wanted to go on an outing. So I helped her find a great deal through Game Time. It was Casey Musgraves. But browsing through the deals was a breeze. I found great value for all kinds of seats around the venue. The super deal in particular stood out as the best value for the event. I got her killer seats. And that she was very grateful for that. So I love that I could see the seat views before buying in the app to show, right? She was stoked about that too. And it shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. That's also a huge plus because you can say definitively it's this, and you don't have to factor in taxes, fees, and all that stuff. It's already there. So plus the one-time ticket delivery, The on-time ticket delivery and the lowest price guarantee gave me complete peace of mind. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Also, you can the joint chiropractic. Here's the promo code for Game Time, by the way. So the joint chiropractic, man, if you want to get yourself right, you should visit the joint chiropractic. Right? It's they have 900 locations nationwide. There's probably one near you that if you want to visit, knock yourself out. It's so good, man. You go in all tight and all kind of like, jacked up, and they discuss with you, hey, what's going on here this week? And I know we had this plan, but I think you need this. And all of a sudden, crack, and you're just floating right on out of there, feeling weightless almost. And it's phenomenal. So make sure you visit there, take advantage of what they have to offer. You won't be sorry. The Joint Chiropractic, trust me. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC. The squad shows. Let's just say this week's is going to be interesting. I'll leave it at that. It's you're gonna enjoy this one, okay? So buckle up. But anyway, those are a lot of fun. So if you need a second listen, make sure you check out those. And Locked On SEC, and all the people that are involved in these all do phenomenal shows, and you should support them as well if you want to, if you have time after listening to me ramble on about how to build a fan base, right? So, again, this is based on an article on Door Report which is the new Vandy rival site, and I thought this was interesting because I think Vanderbilt has this potential being right there in the backyard of the fastest growing city in the Southeast. Something has got to happen, right? Something has got to, I think if they pull their heads out of there, which I think they're doing, there's something there. There's something brewing with this program, not just football, not just basketball, not just baseball, right? Baseball's been a thing for a while, but the other sports are getting chances now to catch up. And I think the landscape shifting through NIL and portal stuff, and the college football, the college athletics world has been flipped upside down, and it's causing a lot of teams to kind of, teams you thought were blue bloods and had endless supplies of money, and teams you didn't think were. It's kind of reversed now. Like teams that had a hard time recruiting because of weather are not having a hard time recruiting, or as much of a hard time recruiting because of NIL. Teams that are in big cities are now getting better chances. Whether they capitalize on that or not, it's a different story. But I think Vanderbilt is in that unique seat of, hey, they're a big investment away from being a really, really good program. But, NIL only takes you so far. When people donate, they want to see something. Okay. So here's the thing. New basketball facilities, practice facilities. You have a new football stadium going in, and part of that football stadium and the structure and all that stuff. Part of that is, building the whole athletic experience, right? So you have basketball facilities, practice facilities attached. You have dining halls that athletes can eat at. You have other amenities that serve the athletes throughout the course of the, day to day. But like, as far as just strictly a home football environment, yeah, it's not a towering 100,000 seat stadium like Neyland. It's not Death Valley. It's not Sanford Stadium. It's not these monster structure. It's not this monster structures stadium, right? But does it need to be really? because like, I think if you create a good enough environment, you can kind of make it your own a little bit. Okay. But I think that creating the best environment possible, you have the amenities. And I said this when I was looking at the renderings of what the new stadium was going to look like, when they had like drawings and things that they came out with, right on the heels of having a swinging scoreboard on 2 cranes, and having the opposing team dress in a tent. But they're far removed from that. But this stadium's going to be nice, dude. It's going to be, the north end zone was great, and I'd love to hear anybody that sat in that area or anybody that experienced a new section of the stadium. Like, if you could come on, like, let me know how it was. Like, what was that environment like? And then, it's just all about creating an environment. It's all about attracting people. Okay, home fans. It's all about attracting people wearing black and gold. Of course, Nashville is a massive destination for vacation. It just is what it is. That's what it is. And people from other fan bases are going to plan vacations around, hey, there's a home game against Vandy. Hey, it's an excuse to go to Nashville. We're going to go eat Pancake Pantry. We're going to go honky-tonkin' on Broadway. And then we're going to go shout our lungs out at the 11 a.m. kickoff game against Vanderbilt. Other fan bases are going to do that. So how do you prevent your stadium from becoming 90% Virginia Tech or 90% Bama or 90% Texas or whatever the team is? How do you prevent your stadium from doing it? Well, you've got to, because that many people aren't buying tickets. And they're not buying season tickets. Some people are, like some of the more passionate fan bases probably are buying season ticket packages just for one game. Teams do, fans do that. But for the most part, it's existing season ticket holders that are like, we suck. I'm going to sell my tickets. And I think you saw less of that this year, especially after the Bama game. I think that's going in the right direction. I just think it needs to keep getting there. I think now it's up to the teams to give the fans something they want to see. And I don't know where the expectations exactly are. I know this. They want to see you be competitive. Like right now, you don't even have to like win every game. You don't have to compete for national championships yet. You don't have to be at that point just yet. You just need to be competitive and continue to put an exciting product out on the field, let the winning take care of itself. And I think fans would be interested. I think people would be interested. Now, let me know what you guys think. But like, I think that would be an interesting thing. I know I left that graphic up way too long. I know you guys missed my face, but to me, it's if you can create a good product for people to want to see, they're going to want to come see it. And I think some of the amenities are going to promote like, and I hate to say this because like, you want football games to be this loud, raucous experience where the other team's intimidated to be in there and things like that. But, there's also a flip side of it because I think it will become a nice environment. But I think you got to get people in the building first as well. And I think that's why they made a lot of decisions they made as far as the amenities go and as far as like having the living room suites and all the perks and things like that in the end zone seats, because they want people to come in, they want to attract the social crowd. They want to attract hey, we're going to go to the Vandy game. We're going to have fun. And then, what ends up happening is, I think a lot of those people, what happened in the Bama game is there was probably a lot of people there like, they're playing Bama. It'll be fun. We can bring people and it'll be an event. It'll be fun. We got a suite. It'll be cool. And then next thing you know, Diego Pavia is doing the Vandy vault into your suite. And next thing you know, you're into this game and you're making noise. And hey, they're actually getting behind the team. Vandy wins. They turn on the goalpost. They carry it down 3 miles to the river. Like things like that are what wake up fan bases. And you create an environment where people want to be there. Now you have to have an administration that can accommodate that. And I don't know if there's another, I don't know if it ever got to a point if they would have another stadium expansion in the plans, but it's certainly possible. certainly possible, but I mean, I could go on and on and on, but this article was good. There's a lot of great things. Door Report, if you haven't read the full article, I think there's a lot of things that we can, that are worthy of discussion. But I think that, to me, these are the things that stood out to me the most when I thought about, hey, how do they build the fan base back, right? And then I'll talk to you about a recruiting strategy that I think would get a lot of people's buy-in too. I'll talk about that next. After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space helps me get back into a routine. So whether you're tidying up, clearing out, or just want to give your space a new look to start the new year, WayFair has everything you need all within your budget. So I'm currently looking for furniture, and their huge selection makes it easy to find pieces that fit my style and budget. My favorite part, the free and hassle-free delivery, even for the larger items. WayFair's site was so easy to navigate. I found everything I needed in no time at all. Right? There's something for every style and every home, no matter what your space or budget. Well, WayFair makes it easy to tackle your New Year's home goals with endless inspiration for every space. What is your decor style? Why did you pick these items? What do you love about them? How did your item look in your home? How did you use it? What did you use it for? How does your new item make you feel? Did WayFair help you out in a time crunch? Was the delivery free, fast, and hassle-free? Like, those are things that people think about, right? How do I feel about this piece? This couch over here? How does it make me feel? Does it go with everything? Is it feng shui, right? So all of that stuff, WayFair can make you feel at ease. So give your home a refresh it needs with WayFair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WayFair.com. WayFair, every style and every home. All right, we are wrapping up here, Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen. Make sure you check out the other shows on the Locked On SEC network. The SEC side of things, there's a lot of great shows there. If you watch the squad, you'll see them all in one place. So check it out. The squad is like a preview for like all of the shows. So make sure you check that out. But talking about this article on Rivals, it's the Door Report now. I'm going to have to get used to that because Vandy Sports is now over at 247. It's all like people moving around. All right. Anyway, but it's a really good article. You should, I'm reacting to that. I'm giving them the credit. George Barclay, Door Report, great article. A lot of great points. Made me think a little bit, right? So last thing, create the State of Nashville for a recruiting area, right? Because it all comes down to recruiting. Like, you have to be able to get, NIL, it's going to work itself out. All right. Home environment. But at the essence of college sports is high school players, high schoolers coming in. It's the essence of it. It's always going to be, right? You're going to supplement. It's more of a balancing act now, whereas it was like, hey, you got a couple transfers and mostly high school guys and you develop and go. But it's not like that anymore. But still, I think there's an old recruiting philosophy that I really loved that Miami did back in the day. And I think Nashville, as fast as it's growing and as much as far as it's reaching out now, beyond the Davidson County lines, I think there's some potential here now to create what's called the State of Nashville. Miami did it. Howard Schnellenberger did it back in the 80s with the state of Miami. They made that their home state, right? They called it the state of Miami. They went from I-4 down, and they just heavily recruited that area. Got a few people from outside, but for the most part, most of their roster came from inside of I-4, right? So I think now, I don't think Nashville, the mid-state area, is that dense with talent yet as the state of Miami was, because South Florida is ridiculous as far as talent goes. Probably, we're talking like tops in the country. So I don't think Nashville's quite to that level yet, but I do think they need to focus more on Middle Tennessee because the talent is growing with schools like Oakland and Innsworth and Brentwood Academy and Father Ryan and, Riverdale and, this Brentwood, Ravenwood, the Williamson County schools, the Rutherford County schools, even some of the metro schools that have some talent here and there, and Henry County, and just the schools in the mid-state. Like, I think you have to dominate the mid-state, and you have to rope that off, and you have to consider that your home state, and you have to be expert in that state, and you have to be. I think it's important. I think it's imperative that you dominate that area, because if you don't, and you let those kids go to Tennessee, and you let those kids go here and there in Kentucky and, wherever, like you have to keep the big guys in. They did that for a minute with like Jawan Williams and, some of those guys, but they got away from it again. And I think if they can keep that, you'll start to see, oh, hey, everyone likes to root for the hometown kids, right? Hey, I live in Nashville. Hey, this kid's a star. He went to school right down the road from me. I know so-and-so who teaches there. They say this kid's amazing, right? I was on the news. Before I started this podcast, I was on the news because I was on the coaching staff at Father Ryan when Jawan Williams was playing as a sophomore. Like, that's how, I wasn't even that, but it was one of those situations where, like, Jawan and I had a really good relationship, and he shouted, like, I was there on a school function covering the NFL draft when I was here in Nashville. I had a group of students, and he just happened to get picked that night because we were there for the second and third rounds. He just happened to get picked by the Patriots that night. So I was like, hey, he's here. I'm going to sit in on his press conference. Like, I'm going to ask him a question. Well, he spotted me and he shouted me out, and all of a sudden everybody turns and looks at me, and I get interviewed. Like who the hell am I? I got an interview. Like, I'm all over the news, and I'm like, I didn't really even coach him that much. I had him as a sophomore, and then I left. But like those kind of things, like those kind of connections are what you need. And making the state of Nashville, I think if you can make that your home state, I think that'll go a long way in galvanizing the fan base to say, okay, well, hey, we're going to root for the hometown team. Hey, I might be an Auburn fan at heart. This is hypothetical. I might be an Auburn fan at heart, but I live in Nashville, and Vandy's really good. And as long as they're not playing Auburn, I'm going to root like hell for them. I might even buy season tickets, right? It's that kind of thing. Like, if they can capitalize on that, I think they have a chance of being viable. And then that momentum, that snowball will move. But I'm way over time. And so I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to leave you to stew on those thoughts. Leave your comments in let me know if I'm way off base. Let me know if I'm spot on. I don't care. You can trash talk me. It's okay. Just don't make it personal. But I'll talk to you guys later, and we'll trudge on through the week. Vandy plays some more basketball. We'll talk about that. Some more portal news, hopefully. And we'll just keep it trucking. Locked on Vandy. Peace out. Anchor down.